So what is social media? It's web content, information that is created by an individual that allows for collaboration among one or more people. Oftentimes, social media is intended to be a starting point for a greater dialogue, a larger experience, and it's really a bridge between individual understanding versus groupthink. So let's talk about the different kind of tools that you can use in your classrooms for integration. There are really 5 classifications of sorts. There's communication tools, collaboration tools, multimedia, entertainment, and business-centric utilities. Really and truly, we won't be discussing the business-centric utilities as much, and those are things like your grade books that you can see graphs, and you can do a lot of business intelligence related data, calculations and numerical. That's really not important in education, maybe in graduate level education, but the truth is that the communications, collaboration, multimedia, entertainment all intertwine some way, shape, or form. Let's start by talking about the communication capabilities. You've got something called blogging, and blogging are individual journals. You've got microblogs, which are Twitters, where you have 140 characters, things about text messaging, and then Tumblr blogging, which is image-based blogging. Flickr is a good example of a quasi-Tumblr blog. Then there's instant messaging, embedded library, which is also known as social library. This is the pop-ups, like if you were to go to your bank website and there's a person that comes up and says, "Hello, my name is XYZ. I'd like to inform you about something. If you'd like more online help, click here to speak to a live chat representative." This is more synchronous learning and ability to communicate in real time with somebody. Then there's the other formats of online chatting, such as artificial intelligence-based chat, where you ask a question, it can find you the right information of sorts. But this is more of what the academic libraries do. You ask a question, and that's really search-based. It's a mixture of business as well as communicative abilities. Now, let's talk about written formats and finding resources, and that's something a wiki. A wiki is a collaborative environment where multiple people can share, write, document, and express themselves, and ultimately come up with a large presentation. Wikipedia is probably the most popular form of wiki, but there are a lot of websites that are multimedia-based wikis where you can create a chronology that isn't blog-based, but you can share different components. A lot of lesson plans that are being seen online are using wikis. I know Microsoft, in particular with their SharePoint product, is pushing the wiki as an education tool rather than the blog, because blogs are individualized, whereas wikis are more groupthink. Then you've got social bookmarking and citation tools. Now, if there's anything I can recommend, is that websites are changing all the time. But if you want your students to get, quote-unquote, the extra help and go to the extra mile in learning the materials outside of the classroom, building social bookmarking lists, great idea. And you don't have to go ahead and create paper documents. You go to a single resource and you find them. So one of the things I'm actually asking everyone to do is provide a list of different websites and then put them in a social bookmarking site. That's ultimately what I'm doing at the end of the semester by gathering up all the materials. Then we have social news and mashups. Well, you already know of so many mashups, CNN.com, New York Times. Then you've got a lot of the online blogs that are, Huffington Post. If you read some of the smut magazines, the entertainment journals like People and things like that, those are really called mashups because it takes video, it takes blogs, it takes text, and it takes real information and pushes it together in one site. Now, for the educational purposes, I would say one of the best blogs is actually, NASA, but it's really a mashup because it includes a video of launches, it includes text about the organization, but it's an educational experience. And really and truly what mashups do is give the 360-degree angle of a learning experience for a specific topic or a variety of topics. Then finally you have social network and knowledge tools. We think of social networks, we think of three things: Facebook, MySpace, and LinkedIn usually. And it's very interesting because MySpace was quote unquote a creative outlet for people to express themselves and build friendship circles, but it's really now become a very niche environment for artists and musicians to go ahead and communicate. MySpace really isn't talked about as much. Facebook, on the other hand, has become a cultural phenomenon because it was actually supposed to be to bring students together to find out like what classes they were in or who's in a relationship status. If you've seen the movie The Social Network, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but Facebook was actually intended to be for Harvard University and the Ivy Leagues to quote unquote find people to date. Now it is a $1 billion a year e-commerce solution. $1 billion, but a lot of organizations are using it as a way to share knowledge, even do pen paling in the education space. I could tell a story about how I, as a doctoral student, connect with a lot of other doctoral students, and I've pulled pieces of information from research connected with world-renowned scholars, all because of Facebook relationships. It's interesting. I left a company, and the chief knowledge officer and I would never have spoken to each other. But we have this Facebook relationship, and because of the Facebook relationship, it's been pretty symbiotic in that I've been able to go ahead and email him, shoot him a question, but would I go to him in a company that was 7,000 people big and say, hey, I need help? No, but because he saw that I'm doing a PhD, he's doing a PhD, he already has a PhD actually. You have this fusion of sorts where we have a common bond. That's what social networks bring together for students. So you really want to look for that quote unquote fine line of what is it useful for the greater good, but don't overextend yourself in the educational realm because you want to make it meaningful and powerful. There's something to be said about media tools, entertainment tools and media tools. Photo sharing, it used to be that you have a digital camera, you put it onto a website. Now you've got a lot of photo sharing tools, whether it's Ophoto, which is Kodak Photo Gallery, you've got Snapfish, and then you've got Facebook, because Facebook is probably the #1 photo sharing tool in the world next to Google Image Search. Google Image Search searches for images where people self-contribute in a Facebook environment. But in the academic environment, you don't want to put it on Facebook. I'll be blunt. Because of privacy concerns, because of security concerns. Limit it to a Flickr. Do limit it to certain platforms that are specifically for photo sharing and not social, because you don't want that mixture between the personal life and the public life to be made available. Video sharing, vlogs, video blogs. This is a video blog for all purposes. This lecture is a video blog because I'm telling you about a specific topic and we're talking about it relevantly for the educational purpose. People have done video blogs, everything from their kids playing guitars to teaching how to go ahead and make $1 million. Now, for education purposes, video logging or video blogging, it goes both ways. Logging is telling chronology, blogging is more personal diary of sorts. It's important to be concise, get your message across, and be narrowly focused. You don't want to go on forever and ever. A lecture like this is focusing on a specific topic, and that's social media tools. If I was to go into 7 other topics, it probably would not be used. Live casting is streaming video. A lot of times you'll see CNN, NBC, MSNBC. A lot of the media outlets use live casting or streaming video. Even all the TV shows online today, that's live casting. And podcasting is audio based, which you can put on your device, your iPhones, your Blackberries, your Androids, things of that sort. Your iPods. iPods are great tools to also do some recording, and a lot of smartphones as well. So these are all different kind of media tools that you can use. Now finally, if you want to expand the horizon and make it a true user experience, something called virtual worlds is important. Second Life is a virtual world where you can purchase time, you can purchase currency, and you can make the student or the learner experience things in a third dimension. It's more of a creative outlet. It takes a lot of time to build virtual worlds. An example of a virtual world that has been wildly successful has actually been the automotive industry. People can create their own cars in that virtual world. They can, give virtual currency, test drive the cars, feel the features, and then go to their dealership. Toyota did that, and when Second Life first came out, they actually made about $45 million on a $1 million investment. Now, that's not a lot of money. That's, a couple of hundred cars in reality. But the truth is that it adds an extra dimension, especially if you're in a distributed environment such as we are now, where you're online. You can experience things from a much higher level, and it's a more sophisticated way of learning. Not everybody does well in this. So if you're going to go ahead and use social media, you need to focus on multimodal approaches where you can combine multiple tools for the same information to be captured. Some people may not be great in finding those resources, but if you do a video to explain how to use the resources in a social bookmarking, the learning experience may be much more significant. This is where we're going to stop on the social media tools, and now we're going to go into the next topic area.